Hi there. Now I'll be talking about 7 dimensions of human wellness for the holistic growth. In academic circle, we keep talking about holistic development of a student. What we mean by holistic development and what needs to be done for the holistic development of a student. That's what I would like to dwell in this lecture. 7 dimensions of human wellness for the holistic growth. This talk is basically for students who have just entered into a university system and also for young parents who would like to groom their children for the future. At the end of this lecture, audience will get an understanding of what we mean by holistic growth of a human being and what needs to be done for holistic development. The ultimate goal of one's life is to live happily. That is to have satisfaction for having lived happily and contributed to the humanity, our society, whatever it is, and having that contentment. That happiness is possible only through well being, and well being is possible through holistic development. There are two words over here one is wellness and well being. Wellness is an active process of becoming aware of and making choices toward a healthy and fulfilling life. Suppose when you are walking on a road in a city, probably you might find it's a wellness center. Basically, their focus is on one particular objective that is keeping your, health. How to keep active so that you will have a healthy life. But well-being is a much broader term. It has a bigger scope. It is focused on a holistic life experience, a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. There are many dimensions to it. What are those dimensions? There are basically 7 dimensions I would like to talk about. Starting with, we have emotional dimension, intellectual dimension, physical dimension, social, environmental, financial or occupational, and spiritual dimension. So it is to become a complete person, a complete person. It is necessary that one should develop abilities in all these 7 faculties. Then he will become a complete person. See, this circle is of 360 and I have divided equally to all these dimensions. Of course, if somebody is going to make one dimension, one sector larger than the other sector, definitely the other sector will become down and that particular sector will become, whichever you have chosen becomes larger. Obviously, your focus in that sector is high and the other focus in the other sector will be low. How intelligently you use your time and focus in all these 7 dimensions to become a complete person is what the challenge is. So let us understand each one of the dimension, what they mean, what we need to do for the development of that particular faculty or dimension, and what kind of benefit we get if we focus or put effort into it. So first of all, let us talk about the emotional dimension. Sometimes you may look sad, may sometimes you are angry, sometimes you experience the feeling of having won something, like you feel happy sometimes. These are all some of the feelings, emotional feelings you have. It is Emotion is typically defined as possessing the ability to feel and express feelings such as sadness, anger. You are in the energized condition or you are in a happy state and so on, like that. If I ask a question, how are you feeling? Probably now I can use a tool called mood meter, and I'll be able to define one's emotional situation. Here you see this diagram. Here I have drawn on y-axis energy and the x-axis pleasantness. And this space I have divided into four quadrants. Each quadrant is of the size some 5 units by 5 units, like that. Here I have chosen, say, origin, say 0, 0. Here I am going negative x, that is negative pleasantness. This is positive pleasantness. This is positive energy. This is negative energy, like that. So we are given four different colors. One is the blue, which has negative pleasantness, also negative energy area. This red one is negative pleasantness, positive energy area. This one is positive energy and positive pleasantness. Here negative energy, positive pleasantness quadrant. Now depending upon your energy level and pleasantness, you may feel something like sad, or you may become mad, angry, or you may look brave, or you may look calm, like this. So now, as I have divided into 5 and all that, from here to here there are 10 divisions, here to here 10 divisions. It is possible, just people have listed out, the researchers have listed out or 700 possible emotions one can have. Suppose you have a very low energy and low pleasantness, probably that emotional condition is a despair condition. You have very high energy but low pleasantness, probably enraged condition. You have very high energy, very high pleasantness, that is ecstatic. Those who do meditation they say achieve that ecstatic condition. Very high pleasantness and low energy, that is serene condition. So this is a very interesting and the useful graph or a diagram, and they call it as a mood meter. So based on your energy level and pleasantness, where you feel and all that, you can find out. But in reality, it is necessary to have a control over our emotions. So for controlling our emotions, what you must understand is our energy level and pleasantness. So what makes us feel unpleasant and what makes us feel pleasant? So when do we become low energy, high energy levels? All this kind of an understanding if you have, probably many times we can start regulating our emotions. Many a situation it is not necessary to become enraged and create pain in others or bad feeling in others and all those kind of thing. So it is necessary. How do we control this? We must be learning this. Many a times, if we don't maintain or regulate our emotions, that will put us into a lot of problem. So as a student, as an youngsters, it is necessary to understand how to express emotions in different situations. To express those emotions, how to control or regulate those emotions, it is necessary for your growth. Because you keep interacting with others in a society, and the opinion of others, your behavior in front of others matter a lot. That's why it is necessary to understand these emotional dimensions, and also better to learn or get yourself trained in how to manage emotions. So you can see there is a mode, as I said, there's a mode meter, which is energy versus pleasantness. It is the tool which is used to recognize and understand our own and others' emotions. So, as I said, there are four colors and all those things. This app details I have given over here. So, probably this mode meter will help in, you know, measuring your or recognizing your own moods and all that thing, and how to regulate and how to control these emotions for betterment, better understanding of people. So we talk about many times IQ's intelligent quotient. Equally important is emotional intelligence. So as I mentioned earlier, what is emotional intelligence or EQ? EQ is the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in positive ways to reduce stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. So it's not only that you should have, like, if you go on working on the intellectual dimension, your IQ will improve. But if you don't focus on emotional dimensions, your EQ will come down. Probably the EQ comes down, that may not, that may affect your progress, growth as a leader, or you know, your acceptance. So, according to Daniel Goleman, an American psychologist who helped to popularize emotional intelligence, there are five key elements to it. That is self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. That's the importance of emotional intelligence. As I mentioned, IQ is important. Equally important is EQ. Sometimes you have very good IQ, but you do not have an IQ. Probably you may not succeed. That is why. But a person who has IQ and EQ exist, if they exist in tandem, probably he'll be very successful. So that's why understanding emotional intelligence, practicing it, is a very, very important thing. Nowadays, there are many courses available on how to develop emotional intelligence, emotional skills, all this. It is necessary be aware of those things, and that will definitely help in your professional life. So you know that in our Indian scriptures, must have heard about navarasas. That is nine expressions that human often show. Even if you attend a classical dance program, probably. So the dancer expressing all these emotions. These navarasas includes like the shringara, the beauty, adbhuta, surprise or wonder, raudra, the anger, bhayanaka, the terror, fear, or bibhastya, disgust, hashya, laughter, karuna, sorrow, shanta, peace or tranquility, veera, heroism, courage. So it's a well researched subject, and many a times we lack a lot of awareness about these emotional feelings. And as a teacher, I have found students for no reason losing anger, losing their temper, creating scenes. This creates a lot of unpleasantness, and probably those who are involved, they may get hurt, and they may, develop some kind of other emotional feelings and these kind of things. So it is necessary that as students, as young students, be aware of these things and get sufficient training in this and learn how to regulate your emotions depending on the situations. Okay, next part is what you have is the intellectual dimensions. Once you become a serious student, probably we give a lot of importance for intellectual dimensions. Many a times to become a great students or good students to do very well in academics, we start ignoring other dimensions. But no doubt intellectual dimensions are very important dimensions, but we should have a balanced development. So what exactly we mean by intellectuals, the intellectual dimension? It is to do with the cognitive side. Okay, it's to do with cognitive one. Okay, so intellectual dimension is about the creativity and the stimulating mental activities and opening our minds to accepting new ideas, correct, and experiences, and desire to learn new concepts, the skills, developing new skills, and maintaining that lifelong learning attitude. So it's all to do with mental activities, okay, the brain activities. 8 simple steps to increase your intellectual wellness. Read for fun, debate an issue with your friend but choose the viewpoint opposite the one you hold. Improve your skills for studying and learning. Learn a foreign language. Play a game. Play a musical instrument. Write down your thoughts or journal frequently. Do crosswords, Sudoku puzzles. Yes, it all will develop your intellectual wellness. That means it stimulates your mental activities. So, stimulate mental activities and become creative. So, quite often we use the term intellectual, you know, in the intellectual ability, we talked about intelligence and intellect. First, let us understand what we mean by intellectual ability. So, we need to develop our intellectual abilities. What we mean by intellectual ability? So, learn how to think, reasoning, acquiring knowledge, and problem solving. All these are called intellectual abilities. Okay? Think, acquire knowledge, think, then probably solve the problem. So these activities we call them as something like intellectual abilities. There is something like intelligence versus intellect. So if you look at this table, like you see here, you read a lot, you acquire knowledge, you gather, that is what we call it as gathering information. By reading, say tuition, that is intelligence. Probably use various external sources, okay, attend college, classes, all kinds of things like that, you develop this intelligence. But intellect is what? Here, you acquired knowledge, but intellect is something, a next stage. You convert that knowledge into something, an useful application, transformation of knowledge. Use that knowledge for solving a problem. That is intellect. It is by learning, reading, all these things. It is by intuition. It is an external source, there is an internal effort. Okay. So already the information is there, you read and learn. Here it is original thinking. So that is the difference between intelligence and intellect. Intellect, in simple terms, is the ability to use the mind creatively. Intelligence is more of acquiring knowledge. So an intellectual is a person who engages in works created by an intellect, such as critical thinking and reading, research and writing, reflection about human society. So what is important over here is, yes, we need to acquire knowledge, but we also should learn how to convert knowledge, transform this knowledge. That's very important. Okay. So then you become a good problem solver. Okay. You become an original thinker. Then you start, finding new solutions for the problems. So people will have intellectual ability, something it comes naturally. Some are very good at mathematical intelligence. It comes naturally. Logical thinking comes to them naturally. Some will have musical intelligence that includes identifying rhythms and sounds. Linguistic intelligence. I have seen some of my friends within a week picking up a new language. Okay? So many will have 10, 15 languages. They will be able to speak, read, and learn, whatever it is. Visual and spatial intelligence. Yeah, I would like to imagine the universe. Some may find very difficult. Some do it very easily, very naturally they do it. Intrapersonal intelligence, bodily or kinesthetic intelligence, it includes the ability to use the body effectively. Naturalistic intelligence, knowledge about nature, plants, surroundings. Interpersonal intelligence, like this. Some may have the combination of two or three knowledge, or some will have only one particular knowledge, and this is what exactly they have observed. But yes, once you have this, probably with a lot of training, you can start developing. So many times intellectual ability seems to depend more on genetic factors. But nowadays, experts agree that if we can create an environment, it is possible to develop those intellectual abilities. So you need to have an environment. So many a times we send our children to a reputed school. There may not be great teachers over there because the great students come over there. That's very important. So because of that kind of an environment, children start learning. So that is what is important. Yes, you have a genetic factors. In addition to that, you'll have environmental enrichment. It is a very very great boon to the children. But even if you do not have those genetic factors, probably creating a good environment will be children will be able to develop intellectual abilities. So what we need to look at is while sending children, so where exactly we get the environment, or when we create a new school, how do we create this great environment? So there are two types of intelligence: fluid and crystalline intelligence. Oh, fluid intelligence refers to the ability to solve novel problems and respond to situations. You must have observed there is a new problem. You must first time people are seeing the problem, but quickly they understand and able to give a solution to that. That is what fluid intelligence. Crystallized intelligence relies upon experience, developed skills, and previously learned knowledge to solve a problem. Both fluid and crystallized knowledge, intelligence contribute to an individual's ability to solve even most challenging problems. There are many the types of thinking. We say creative thinking and critical thinking. A critical thinking is, you can see here, the left brain thinking, and creative thinking is right brain thinking. You must have heard about nowadays design thinking. It's a creative thinking. So nowadays, a lot of, for a long time, importance was not given to the creative thinking in university system. But nowadays, university systems have started giving lots of it, importance for creative thinking. So they were more on critical thinking. So what is the difference between creative thinking and critical thinking? Both are required. Remember that both are required. It's not only creative thinking or only critical thinking. Both are required. It is very, very important for solving problems. Creative thinking tries to create something new, while critical thinking seeks to assess worth or validity of something that already exists. So it is something in critical thinking, there is a problem. We identify the problem, what you can call it as a need analysis. Then probably what specifications that new idea, new product, new problem, new solution should satisfy. We will write down. Then we synthesize the system. We analyze the system. Then we prototype it. Then iteratively we improve and we do this. Finally, we go for site. So a critical thinking, look at, depends on lot of literature we read and look at those kind of a thing, what is possible, what not possible. So all this kind of a thing. Now in a creative thinking, we look at all possibilities. It's a very divergent thinking. From that all possible solutions, all possible opinion, then we crystal we distill it to something again for a convergent solution. So it is a design thinking. It's a creative thinking, correct? So here also we look at what the problem is. You make a prototype of it. Take the people's opinion first. We take people's opinion. create lots of concepts, take opinion of those things, correct. Then probably a convergent, make a prototype of it, again take the opinion and go on improving like this. So we involve everybody there in a creative thinking process. So it's generative, while critical thinking is analytical. Creative thinking is focused on possibilities, while critical thinking is focused on probability. Okay, so it is both are necessary, critical thinking as well as creative thinking. Definitely, if you go through a course on design thinking, probably you definitely understand what exactly we mean by creative thinking, right? So I just listed out some what are the variation between critical thinking and creative thinking over here. It is necessary to develop the left hemisphere as well as the right hemisphere so that you become a great problem solver. Now, developing intellectual abilities. You have to have selective attention sometime, sustained attention, divided attention, long-term memory, short-term memory, logic and reasoning, processing speed, visual processing, auditory processing abilities. Correct? You have to train your brain for all these things. Next, how do you learn intellectual skills? So here, as you said, they are brain based, and we say like how do we learn? This is what it is. See here, one is what we call it as knowledge, understanding, application, analytical skills, evaluation, creative skills, or we call it as learning skills. So you need to remember certain things. You need to understand why certain things behave in a certain way. So this is what remembering and understanding is what we can call it as the knowledge part of it. So read something, get information. So that is what exactly the knowledge part of it. And why reasoning out why it certain way it behaves and all those kind of things, understanding. Then knowing this, how to apply that knowledge. So then analyze why it is behaving in a certain way. If I do this, what happens? There are many what if questions and come like this. You want to create a new product that is applying. You have got some knowledge, let us say. Out of this knowledge, let us say you want to create something. Let us say you want to create a new automobile. You acquire the knowledge of an automobile and you would like to apply that knowledge to create a new type of automobile. Let us say apply this. You start now designing using all this kind of knowledge. Then how exactly it might behave on the road while driving is what you can analyze. And if I do this way, if I change this parameter, what happens? If I change that parameter, what happens? If I change this material, what happens? These are the ways we can start answering this question. This is what we're exactly analyzing it and make a prototype of it and see what we have analyzed is correct or not. Correct in and again improve analysis. So once all these things are done, you create. This is how we can start learning the intellectual skills. Correct. So here I'm talking about this whatever procedure, this procedural, more of what you can say, it is critical thinking. But while applying, while creating all this kind of a thing, you apply even, let us say, creative thinking. So it is not only I'm talking about a product or anything it can be. So there is something critically looking at it and I mean creatively looking at it. Our aim is finally whatever intellectual ability we develop, you have to solve it. You do an agricultural engineering program, or you do a hotel management program, or you do sociology, our job is to finally solve a problem. So how do we solve the problem? So these are the steps how we can gain this learning, and based on this learning, we can find a solution to the problem. Okay. How do we assess? No, right? What the students have learned or something like that. Verbal analogies, arithmetic calculations, spatial relationship, number series puzzles, reading comprehension, critical reasoning test, problem. So these are the school level. All these kind of things are, these kind of assessing methods can be used and see the students level and use this idea to improve their intellectual skills, abilities. So that's how the great thinkers Albert Einstein, Immanuel Kant, you must have heard about great philosopher, Aristotle, our great Indian thinkers and all that. So you want to be like this, probably your intellectual ability have to be developed to that level. So these are another very important dimensions a student has to focus on. So intellectual growth should commence at the birth and cease only at the death. Next important dimension is the social wellness. How, what kind of friendship we develop, with whom all we develop our friendship, what kind of relations we keep with your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your aunt, uncle, everything matters a lot. Your community, all these things matter a lot. You need to invest for this. So, social wellness refers to our ability to interact successfully in our global community and live up to the expectations and demands of our personal goals. Nowadays, we talk about, oh, you have become a leader, you want to be a leader, you need to develop a network. This is what exactly? How do you connect with others? How do you interact with others? So, for that, what are the abilities you must have? That's what exactly the social wellness is about. So it is learning good communication skills, developing intimacy with others, creating support network of friends and family members. Social net wellness improves showing respect for others and yourself. So that way nowadays we talk about global citizenship, respecting other views, others' culture. Everything is important. Contributing to your community and to the world builds a sense of belonging. In short, cultivate healthy relationship, get involved, contribute to your community, share your talent and skills, communicate your thoughts, feelings and ideas. So that's what exactly I'm here. I need to have very good relationship with my parents, friends, teachers, advisors, well-wishers, my wife, my acquaintances, siblings, communities, relatives, children. This is a very important thing because it will definitely support you in your growth, professional growth. You see here, social support enhances quality of life and provides a buffer against adverse life events. When you give and receive social support on a daily basis, you ensure that you will have friends, family to turn to in times of need or crisis to give you a broader focus and positive self-image. So healthy relationships are vital component of health, and research has shown that people who have strong social network tend to live longer. The heart and blood pressure of people with healthy relationship respond better to stress. Strong social networks are associated with a healthier endocrine system and healthier cardiovascular functioning. Healthy social network enhances immune system's ability to fight off infectious diseases. Social wellness means being aware of, participating and feeling connected to your community. So during the COVID time, so you are having, let's say, you're tested COVID positive, you are quarantined, and you are not allowed to interact with anybody. You are not able to express your your emotions, your difficulties with anybody. So probably I was one of them, so understand that there is no life at all. So one of the most important thing that investment one should make is for the social wellness, for your growth, your happiness, your health. The social wellness is very, very important. So strategies for you develop strategies for building social wellness, develop friendship with people, choose right relationship, and you build a relationship, stay in healthy relationship, and don't feel pressure to conform, learn to communicate effectively. So you have to have right strategies and develop social wellness. So when I is replaced by we, even illness becomes wellness. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So you have heard that proverb, and a healthy mind in a healthy body, then you'll become very happy. So for that, physical wellness is important. Exercise daily, get adequate rest, for follow all the safety rules, eat a variety of healthy foods, control your meal portions, okay? All this, what you call them as bad habits, you avoid, be away from them. So it can be yoga, it can be gymnasium, it can be games, it can be anything, athletics. Practice that and keep your body healthy. Those who think they have no time for exercise will sooner or later have to find time for illness. You must have heard about global warming. So you talk about every day the pollution in Delhi, air pollution condition in Delhi. So you are finding it very difficult to get a good drinking water because of water pollution, because we are not caring sufficiently about our environment. It's very important that we need to protect our environment. So environment consciousness is very, very important. Stop your junk mail, conserve water and other resources, minimize chemical use, reduce, reuse, recycle, renew your relationship with the earth. So these are some of the things that we must be doing. You see here, this is what social foundation, this is what is required for society to exist. You require water, you require food, you require health, you require education, you require peace, political, all these things are required. These resources have to be utilized in an optimum way. If you are overusing these resources, then what happens? Climate change, ocean acidification, chemical pollution, right? Nitrogen and phosphorus loading, fresh water with it. See, land conversion, all these things, if you do it, it will lead to all these problems. So that is what I have said. There is an ecological ceiling. There is a social foundation. you need to be careful about this. This is the region in which you should try to be in. So, because these are all happening, I think there are many summits have happening over the years. It started in 1992. So you can write that COP is Conference of the Parties. So in future also many such conferences will happen. But the idea is that unless we start understanding this and respecting our environment, probably we'll be doomed. So learn, understand the ecological ceilings and work within that. There are many people, India and abroad, so working on environmental protection. Some of them here in our country, Chandi Prasad Bhatt, Vandana Shiva, Suganta Kumari, you have Salu Maruti Makka, Sundar Labo, you may saw so many out there. So these are the great environmental, struggling hard, working hard for the environmental protection. So be supportive to them. Be a part of the solution, not part of the pollution. Another very important, equally important is spiritual wellness. This is quite complex to understand, but only with the time you understand the importance of spiritual wellness. It is possessing of set of guiding beliefs, principles, and values that help you direction towards life. It can pass a high level of faith, hope, and commitment to your individual beliefs that provide a sense of meaning and purpose. It is willingness to seek meaning and purpose in your human existence, to question everything, and to appreciate the things that cannot be readily explained and understood. So, people talk about body, mind, and soul, right? Body, mind, and soul. So, there are many ways, many people talk about the spirituality, but don't mistake this with religion and other things. Of course, many times religion and spirituality they fix each other, but it is something like how do we suppose if you ask me why do you go to a temple? Do you see a god or not? No, I want to experience that serene atmosphere. The person sitting over here, he experienced that serene atmosphere. He gets that mental calmness, and that is I am striving for. I go for that. Correct. Probably you start understanding many of these things. Maybe in the initial young, when you are young, it is difficult to get all these things. Why there are so many scriptures? Why they have written like that? What they want to convey? If you read them, what is that we understand? Probably many things we can start understanding like this. Correct. So I don't think though I have read many things and all those things. I don't think I'll be able to summarize what exactly is spiritual wellness to you. Probably with the great spiritual gurus, if you attend certain, lectures, probably you understand getting what is spiritual wellness is all about. Right? So these are some of the books, like the Shankaracharya, the Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Swami Vivekananda, Jiddu Krishnamurti have heard, Osho have heard, Jaggi Vasudeva heard, Sri Ravi Shankar we have heard. So many of these people, they keep talking about all this kind of thing. And I have heard many of the lectures. Many other times when I have certain questions, probably I get answers to that question. Sometimes the answers are very satisfied and sometimes not very much happy with those kind of answers and kind of things like that. But anyway, the whole idea is to seek meaning and purpose in our existence. Okay, it is better you develop those kind of a thing. Of course, yoga is one way of looking at all those kind of a thing. Yes, we practice these things, but not being able to achieve the required concentration and other things. Yes, to enjoy good health, to bring true happiness to one's family, to bring peace to all, one must first discipline and control one's own mind. If a man can control his mind, he can find the way to enlightenment, and all wisdom and virtue will naturally come to him. Okay, next, this is practical. Whatever it is, we have to live life, occupational wellness, very, very important. You develop intellectual abilities, you develop emotional abilities, you develop social these things. Finally, you have to live your life. You need money. So, choosing the right profession, developing the right attitude, and grow in your profession is what is important. So, you can explore varieties of career options, create a vision for your future, choose a career that suits your personality, interest, and talents, and be open to change and learn new skills. Have a work life balance. So, know that. That's a very important thing. So, the only way to achieve the impossible is to believe it is possible. So, in summary, the goal of human life is to achieve happiness. Happiness is possible through human well being. Human well being has seven dimensions: emotional, intellectual, social, physical, environmental, financial, and spiritual. For holistic development of a human being, he or she need to focus on development of seven dimensions of well being that will lead to happy life. The goal of education should be the holistic human development, and it is necessary when we develop our curriculum, it should take care of these seven dimensions. So parents have to encourage the whole all-round development of a student by giving sufficient, you know, focus for each one of these dimensions. With this, hope this lecture will help you how to plan your available time and how exactly you would like to focus on each one of these dimensions and grow as a complete human being. With this, thank you very much. Education cannot be effective unless it helps the child open up himself to life. Thank you.